Hello and welcome to the regular Tuesday edition of Spurs DIEHARDS TTID, Tottenham Till I Die. Tonight we've got a great panel for you and we've got a hot topic to discuss because we are going to discuss Daniel Levy and the future direction of the club. We're going to keep it mature and sensible if we can. So I'm sure I want to introduce two debutant guests that we hope will make many appearances on Spurs DIEHARDS, right? We've got Colin from Talk and Ball. He's in the good old US of A across the pond.
Hey, how's it going?
Phil Barnett from somewhere in the Midlands in the UK. I don't exactly where. We can't hear you, Phil. You're mute.
Oh, sorry. That was a good start, wasn't it? Shropshire.
Shropshire.
Place, little place. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So start with a guest. How are you, Colin?
Doing good. Today's my day off of work, so having a good day, relaxing. Got some chores done earlier. It's been, and now I'm here with you, lovely people. So it does not get much better than this.
Right. And Phil, how are you?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's great to be on the panel with you guys, and looking forward to my debut. And yeah, unfortunately, I've got work later on. I'm on a night shift this week, but I'll try and get through as many topics as you asked me. So, and I'll look forward to coming on in future panels.
Yeah, Mark, how are you?
Oh, all is good. All is good. Yeah, nothing to complain about. Well, until we start talking.
And we have fellow admin, Her Majesty Queen Ellie Hotspur, ex-Spurs ladies with us. Ellie, how are you?
Yeah, I've got a new name, Queen Ellie van der Ven. My brother said shorten it to Queen L van der Ven, but I know I've got to have my whole name in there. Come on,
Queen Ellie VDV, Queen Ellie VDV. I like that.
Yeah,
right.
I know.
Before we get right into it, I'll give you a little brief synopsis on Spurs for those watching on playback, and in case some of you don't know. I mean, like, the situation at the club is like we have 45,000 season ticket holders. I've got this information today, which includes 8,000 premium season ticket holders. In addition, there are 70 private boxes of different standards. Obviously, more money you pay, the better box you get. There's a waiting list for Tottenham season ticket. It now stands at 80,000, right? One Hotspur members. And believe it or not, to the stats I've got today, Spurs have a worldwide fan base of 34 million.
Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, come on, you Spurs.
Right.
What I want to do, I want to start with Colin, right? Like, so let us know how long you've been a Spurs fan. It's always interesting to know when people from abroad become Spurs fans. What is your perspective of the club as a fan, and how do you see? What do you see the future for Spurs under Levy at the present? We've had a lot. I mean, we're getting a bit more of increasing tension. We'll come to the transfer window as well, but tension that I sense is beginning to increase at the moment again. Your opinion on Levy and the direction of the club, your perspective?
Yeah. So first of all, I started supporting Spurs. It was like right around 2009, 2010, right around that era. And to be honest, it was because we got an upgraded TV package, and I finally got the matches, and you watch a couple. I played soccer my whole life, I should say, and then you want to find the team to support. You watch different teams. And yeah, the way Spurs played just really resonated with me. I really liked the wing play of Aaron Lennon, Gareth Bale, of course. I mean, geez, at that time you had some wonderful players, Modric. Around then, we had Crouchy. Crouchy was always a fun player. Adebayor, Defoe. I don't know. I just really liked that time. I really liked. Wow, I'm losing track of things. Harry Redknapp. But yeah, I really loved Harry Redknapp and his style. And just the whole everything around the club. They weren't, Spurs at that time weren't as big of a club as they are today, in my opinion, in stature. But they would go up against anybody, and you felt like you could win any match or you could lose any match. But it was just the no fear, the attacking attitude of the club. I really liked it a lot, and I still do. That's why I love the club, and that's why I like the direction we're going under Ange, just because everything seems to be moving back into that kind of attacking sense. But back to Levy, I understand Levy definitely has humongous list of deficiencies. Like there's a bunch of problems with Daniel Levy, a bunch of problems. He ruins transfers, haggling over just small amounts of money. You guys remember João Moutinho losing out on that transfer? I think it was $5 million. We needed him. There was other players we lost out on for similar sums of money, just small bits. He's has a reputation of people not wanting to deal with him anymore just because he got one or two good deals done late in windows. He kind of thinks that he's some kind of a wheeler dealer. He thinks he's Harry Redknapp, I guess. But yeah, I mean, he's improving in that aspect, right? It seems like, he's put more people between himself and the footballing decisions. That's a good thing. Obviously Spurs has grown as an international brand, like you were saying. 34 million, was that the number that you said?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so Spurs are growing. Obviously, we need to see that though translate to on-pitch growth and change in the way that we operate as a football team. Because now, obviously, they're buying hotels. We have the nicest training ground, but we're not seeing enough of that money going back into the team. We got $100 million for Harry Kane. Looks like we're going to spend 65 on Solanke, and I don't know. It's just we need to start acting like a big club if we're going to have the finances of one, and that's one. I think all the fans would agree on that. But sometimes I'll counter it with the devil you know is sometimes better than the devil you don't know. For every Daniel Levy, there's a Mike Ashley, or you know what I mean, or an owner like that who doesn't care about your club at all. Whereas I feel like Levy cares to a certain extent. So it's tough. It's tough to give a good answer to that, but that's just kind of my ramblings. That's what comes up.
No, it was good. It was good. It wasn't a ramble at all. I think you talked a lot of sense there. I mean, Bill, your perspective for a Midland supporters. I don't know if you ever lived in the South. I don't know how many games or if you get to attend games or not. I don't knock fans. I mean, I go. I'm a season ticket holder. I live local, but just because I'm local, I don't think of myself more of a fan than people that can't go. They're just as passionate as I am about the team, especially when you hear what they have to say on podcasts and things like that. So, your perspective on Levy and the club, and have you managed to attend games? I mean, or do you tend to watch I attended probably about 10 to 11 games last year. I actually know someone who goes with his dad, and he if he doesn't go, then he can sort of give us half price for his ticket. So it's not bad in that sense. But yeah, I'll try and get up there as much as I can. I love the club. I've supported them since the first in the Premier League era. The best periods really for Spurs since I supported them was through Redknapp and Potts. They were the best eras for me, and we are slowly getting to that stage again where we were under Poch, but there's still little bits in Angie's tactics which I question if we're going down that road. And I think he can sort of tweak his tactics to make his system work a lot better. But I think he can adapt his tactics. I think I have seen it in a couple of games, just not often. But yeah, in terms of Levy, I'm not a massive fan of him, to be honest with you. I think the business side of it is amazing in what he's done. But the football side, I can't knock him spending the money because he has spent the money. It's just the recruitment side I question. The amount of players that we've wasted paying big money for is unforgivable, really. The likes of Bailey, we all know who they are. So there's a lot of room for improvement in the future. So let's just see what happens. Right, Mod Mark, your perspective on Levy, in the direction of the club.
Let's have it. Let's be having you.
Come on, Mark, let's have it. Come on.
Right now. Well, obviously, I've been a Spurs fan all my life. I had no choice in the matter. Right now, when I was a kid, I didn't have a clue who the chairman was. I didn't know. It wasn't important. But these days, like, he is forefront of everything that happens. Now, as a businessman, you've got to say the man is a genius, right? He bought, what did he nick by Tottenham for? 25 million? It wasn't a lot, was it? And they've grown it. So it's, was it now? 3 and a bit billion?
That's more than that, isn't it? I think it's
well, whatever. And so from a financial point of view, the man's a genius. You can't question him. It's like, now I know Ben's in the chat. Mr. Daigle said if he ever gets divorced, he wants, not that he's going to, let's get that in there, not that he ever will, but if he ever got divorced, he wants Daniel Levy as his lawyer, because he'll just get everything, because the man's a genius when it comes to legal things and money, and like, but he's built a stadium, the best in the world, the country, certainly the best in this country, all the mod cons, right? And we're a big team. Do we act like a big team? No, far from it, right? You see all these, you see all these clubs signing players, paying them wages. We won't do that. We will. I've always said we will win nothing while that man is here. If we do, it will be in spite of him, not because of him. Right? The sooner he's gone, the better. Right? Off the pitch, you can't fault him. But I'm not interested in off the pitch. I'm not interested in off the pitch. I want to see it on the pitch. You know, because you got to remember all the strikers we've had in the past. Even you go back a few years ago, we had Son and Kane, the deadliest partnership there ever was. And next year we're looking at the likes of Solanke and Richarlison. It's shocking, absolutely shocking. But it's like I said, like my love of Spurs will never wane. It will never dwindle. But my hopes and dreams are just slowly crushed. You know, they're crushed over time. And, you know, and it's like I said, we got all the infrastructure at the club, but nothing ever happens. Nothing happens. The sooner we wake up and act like a big team, then we might actually win something. Until we do, just like you said, we'll tread water or go backwards.
Well said. Queen Ellie VDV, right? Van der Ven now. Now
that's it.
Now you cut loose with
where we at.
So your take on Daniel Levy and the direction of the club. We're going to go into some more depth, but I've got questions to cover this. So
yeah, I just want to pick up on what everybody said, really, but I'm going to go at it from a personal point of view, because I'm a lady who was born and bred in Tottenham. Everybody knows I played for Spurs ladies. I love the club with all my heart and passion. I'm from Tottenham. So when I wrote him a letter, and the 34 million fans are my family, right? So I just wrote him a letter and I said, I said to him, hello, Daniel, blah, blah, blah. I love the way you're running the club business-wise, but we're Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, not Tottenham Hotspur Business Club. Although it's very important to keep your money intact and make sure that you're rolling over the money and bringing it in, but then you've got to spend it in the right way. And he's taken his eye off the ball too many times, and he's let people undermine him in a way, because they're buying players and not doing their due diligence, and he should be keeping an eye on what they're doing, right? So I blame him for the recruitment, because it's his job as chairman to make sure everybody's doing their job properly, right? And when they're not, get rid of them. Because there were so many times we kept hold of Steve Hitchin, right? Okay, yes, he's a nice fella, but he was making mistake after mistake. Yes, he made some good ones as well, but it was mainly bad recruitment that got us into that situation. And then there was that 500 odd days that they didn't back, and we could have struck while the iron's hot. Now again, we can strike while the iron's hot. Everybody's up in arms with their finances, FFP, whatever other term you want to bring into it, and we're not striking. We've got 3 18-year-olds, yes, talented 18-year-olds, yes, but we need some more players that are going to take us to that next level and make our 11 that we've got now work hard for those positions, because they were too comfortable last year, and it's his job to keep an eye on the ball as our chairman. If he really does love the club like he says he does, right, because I've heard him say it, believe it or not, and he's a very personable guy. You know, he comes across as very shy, you know, humble, right? But when it comes to football management, I think you have to be shrewd and hard, right? Especially when you're picking the players and picking your staff, right? It's like running a restaurant, isn't it? If you're running a restaurant and the sous chef is shit and the chef is shit and everything goes to pot, doesn't it? And the manager's not keeping his eye on the ball, the whole restaurant goes to pot and you lose your business. I don't think we're going to lose our business, but what we've done is lose on the park, because we've just done enough, or Levy's just done enough to make us relevant, but he's never really thought, right, we need this player for that position, that player for this position, and get the key positions filled early for our managers to work with. We've never done it I've not seen one transfer window where I can hold my hands up and say, yes, that was a brilliant one. Not one. Right, so that's the answer. We need to get our recruitment right. Obviously, he's trying his best now. I'll give him his dues. He has put men in place, but still, we're still struggling to sign players. So I want to see more recruitment to help our first team and make us stronger, so that we can compete, Adrian. I want to compete at the very top. I don't want to see Man City winning everything. I'm not a Manchester City fan. I'm a Tottenham fan. I want Tottenham to win things like we used to. But we've won 1 in 24 under his leadership. So that's a failure, like TJ said in our last show. It's a failure. And if any other business, he would have got fired.
Yeah.
That's true.
My take, I want to give my take on it. I think what needs to happen, I mean, apart from we need to do much, we've improved in the transfer window, but we need to be much better and much quicker in the window. But one of my biggest concerns is seems to be a total lack of empathy between the board and the fan base. I mean, and that displeases me. And I've had personal experience of this. I mean, it's like I look around the stadium, it's wonderful. I don't know if you guys are on the same tack as me on this, but I mean, like,
the stadium.
We need better fan engagement from the club. Quarterly meetings with the fans advisory board are not good enough, right? There needs to be regular fan engagement. I mean, and even the meetings with the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, you know, they are random. There's no sort of set times for them. You know, we need transparency over things that we should be entitled to know about. We're only entitled to know all the club business, but we need a bit of transparency. You know, what are you doing? What are you doing around the stadium? What improvements you intend to make and things like that. And I'm talking about my own personal experience was a pal of mine, ex-goalkeeper. He had a bit of a funny turn at the stadium. He's sitting on the steps in the south stand at the top steps of the concourse. There's no seating in the concourses. There's no water stations. All right, we know they've got sort of paramedics roaming around, but you should have a Green Cross centre or something where you know you can go with, you know, find a queue, bottle of water, get him the bottle of water. He's in a different block to me. I asked permission, usher him to his seat, and he was okay. But there are lots of people that go to that ground that are elderly, and they get there early because they have to travel to get to the ground. And some people, like yourself, Ellie, can't stand for long periods of time. Right?
That's right.
And they could put someone to seat. And there's plenty of places you could put seating along the concourse. When I asked Martin Cloak And Katrina Law, when they were on the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust to raise this, she said, we've already raised this, Adrian. And the problem is, like, they pound us off saying, oh, it would cause obstructions. No, it wouldn't. They deflected it. They fannied it, right? It's wrong. It needs doing. You know, you have the issue. I mean, like, I'll come to Phil. I mean, like, your experience at the stadium itself, I mean, in general, it's a good experience, but any you negative things to say about the stadium, or?
No, not really. Maybe the one thing I'd say is the atmosphere is a little bit different to what it was at White Hart Lane and what it is now. I think the atmosphere was electric at White Hart Lane. I think that because it was quite close to the pitch, and you know, it's just, the atmosphere seems a little bit. Obviously, the atmosphere is great, but it just seems a little bit different. It's quite touristy as well, which, you know, I don't know if the hardcore fans don't go to the games anymore, but it just seems, I don't know, a little bit different in my eyes. But I always go to watch them. You know, they're my club. But I just think the atmosphere is a little bit different. That's the only one negative I'd say about it. The stadium's amazing. You know what I mean? It's probably one of the best, if not the best, stadium in the world. So what Levy's done to get us that is amazing.
I'm sad that I never got to go to White Hart Lane. That's what really bothers me.
Yeah.
I went there quite a few times.
That was fantastic.
The one shit thing about it was, if you did buy a ticket and you were right by the poles,
obstructed your view and everything. I remember even on the TV, like it was like that. So
yeah. But that's the one negative thing I'd say about the new stadium is the atmosphere is just a little bit different to what it was at White Hart Lane.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you get to go to some games during the season. What is your experience of the stadium? You got negative experiences of the stadium?
Well, it's not really a negative, but to be honest, when I go, I mean, I've told you on the phone, when I go, it's a day out because it's like an 18-hour day for me to go and come home, and when I go, I'm normally like too drunk anyway because I've been in the pub since 12 o'clock. Well, Ellie's seen me at games.
Yeah, I've seen you there.
Yeah.
I can believe it. I can believe it.
Well, you know, we know you must try out local establishments.
Yes.
And
when in Rome, do as the Romans.
Yes, and there was one game. I think I was East Upper. I had an 1882 ticket, and I was East Upper, and it was like 5 or 6 flights of stairs. I asked to go in the lift because, to be honest, I just couldn't be bothered. Oh no! I was nearly dead by the time I walked on. How you do it, Adrian, is beyond me. I don't know how you do that. I was bloody like, oh my god.
I put on. Listen, before we go to there where the lift is, I put on my best limp.
Oh, dude! I tried all this. And they wouldn't let me in. They said no, upstairs. So
tell you what, Mark, I'll bring you a bag of spinach.
Yeah, I think I need it. Well, or not drink so much in the bricklayers.
Yeah,
that sounds impossible. The spinach sounds.
Yeah, that's where I go. The bricklayers.
Bricklayers is lovely.
It's a good pub. Yeah, I've been.
It's the best pub around that area.
Well, if I'm having a drink, I go in the Gilpin. It's a bit more of a nice.
Or the Beavertown. Sometimes.
I go in the Gilpin.
I won't go in Beavertown.
Coaching horses.
I won't go in Beavertown. It's owned by Levy.
There's an old geezer in the Coaching Horses. He's absolutely brilliant. Gets up on the tables and gets everybody going. He's fantastic. He must be at least 80-year-old, easily.
I haven't met him, sadly.
Ellie, so coming to you on your take on your stadium experiences, because you had issue with seating, haven't you?
Because I applied for the disability access because of my legs, but I've had 2 broken toes. in there, dislocated shoulder. Outside the ground as well, I was barged onto the seats outside the Spurs ground. So my experience, also I lost my favourite Sony headphones as well. I left them in the toilet. I went back and they weren't there. Asked around, nobody's seen them. Next day, phoned the Spurs ground. Nobody got handed them in. So, but I do like the stadium. I think there's matches that are below par on atmosphere, like Phil said. It's like I get the touristy bit, because there are a lot of people that, you know, are not particularly Spurs diehards, but they love Spurs because of a particular player. I won't
You know where I'm
mention
coming
it.
from with that,
We know
don't
who
you?
it is. We know who it is, right? But they are good fans, because I've been next to them and I've celebrated with them, and they're such infectious fans when they're in the stadium, and they are vocal. So I wouldn't put them down in that respect, nor would Phil, because it's just one of those things. You know, I think, Phil, we're of old school. Like, we like, I don't know about you, but I think Spurs fans are all different, from all different races, all different, you know.
That's
and
what's so beautiful about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, right? And I love it that they're embracing our club, right? And I just love the stadium because it's fantastic. It's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
You know, and other fans go there just to see our stadium, not because they're Spurs fans. They just love to have the experience.
Yeah.
Can I say though,
people
Ellie?
that travel and look at different stadiums just to get a
What
good.
I was going to say is, I don't like the corporate side of things, because it's making it like inaccessible to the normal fan. So we're never ever, you've got to pay thousands and thousands of pounds to go into the tunnel room and tunnel experience, and we're never going to experience it because we haven't got that money. And it's
Or
a
you
shame.
can sit in the rough bit like you, Ellie.
Yeah, I have to go into the rough bit. And now
that's fantastic, mine. That area you're in, I loved it when I was there.
Do you know? And also, I don't like I like the disability section, but you don't get the same atmosphere as being in with the crowd. You know, when you're in with the crowd and like got expressions there.
Yeah, I will say the safe stand. That's where I go anyway. I'm like something like 7-8 rows up from sort of the left side of the safe stand. The atmosphere is amazing. Like, it's absolutely amazing in that stand. But
it's brilliant.
Well, you've got to remember.
How much does it cost you to go on a South Stand? I'm in the East Upper, right next to the South Stand, but I'm right up high, and I have to get a look.
That's where I was one game.
I know someone who you know sorts us out, like, you know, with a pretty cheap ticket. So he normally, obviously, they range from about 80 to 100, but he gives it us for about 40, 45.
Yeah, that's good.
That's awesome. That's a good friend right there.
Yeah.
That's good, mate.
That is good.
You've got to remember. Well, you must remember as well. Right in the middle of the South Stand, where you'd think all the singers would be, there's a corporate area.
Yeah.
There's a corporate area right in the middle of the South Stand. Now whose wonderful idea was to put that there? And so you got the prawn sandwich.
It's the 1882 clubs in the middle of the South Stand. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But
they're paying $2,000 or something. Just
but exactly. I mean,
it shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be there. I agree.
No. It's obvious. It's obvious whose wonderful idea it was to put that there.
Let's move on to another contentions issue then, right? With stadium concessions, right? Now my ticket went up 50 quid, right? Season ticket cost me $1,291. I think it's about £72 a game right now, right? So I just stopped. If I leave my house now, if I'm not meeting people in the Gilpin or whatever, I'm going to the game, I just leave an hour before kickoff and in my seat, and I don't buy any beer and all that. And I've more than got that 50 quid back in my protest, right? I used to buy drinks in there. You know, I might spend 30, 40 quid in there if I'm with a few people. You know, I don't now. Right, and I've no intention of doing it when the season starts, but I will be a hypocrite if there's guests, because obviously you've got to be sociable, you know what I mean? So like that, but I'd rather drink in the Gilpin if I was going to have a beer. I'm not really bothered about whether I have a drink anymore now. You know, I'm at that stage. But what's your take on the fact that like they're phasing out the season citizens concessions, and also that in future the disabled carers are going to have to pay full price for their tickets.
And that part is especially ridiculous. But it seems to me, I don't know. I don't understand how okay, so let's take this purely from like a PR, public relations standpoint. They can't need the money bad enough that they're willing to take this hit. I mean, this has made the club look really bad, and people are very upset, rightfully. I don't know. I just can't believe that somebody made this decision and thought that this was the right thing to do, and that if they needed a little bit more money, that squeezing it out of these people was the way to go. So yeah, I totally understand why everybody's frustrated. I think personally, the longer that you've had a season ticket, the price should go down. I mean, you've been grandfathered in. You've been paying for it. I don't know. I think that instead of, I get completely why everybody is so upset.
Because Colin, everybody
it feels like a slap in the face.
In America, you've got loyalty, haven't you? You've got loyalty rewards, and they introduced it in England, like loyalty for shopping, loyalty for going to a restaurant. They give you loyalty cards where they stamp it, right? And at Spurs, they've taken all the loyalty away, and it's such a shame because all those fans, like, they come from families of generations of Spurs fans. It's not just them, their forefathers and their grandfathers and everybody in their family supported Spurs, and they pumped in a lot of money to Tottenham, you know, and it's not fair. It's totally immoral to do that because, you know, you have to pay back something. Like Bill Nicholson said, pay back the fans because they will always be here, but the club chairman is going to move on, the players are going to move on, but the fans are always constant, and it's passed down from generation to generation. So I think it's
the thing is like that them sort of decisions that Levy makes, right, or the hierarchy, they don't help themselves when they do things like this. Do you know what I mean? I mean, they get enough heat as it is with transfers and stuff like that, recruitment, whatever. But to do that as well is just a kick in the teeth of the fans. Do you know what I mean? They don't need to do it. It's just needless.
Yeah. For the amount they gain out of it, you know, I mean, I've seen streams where they're on about, like, if with them taking away the concessions, they've made £2 million.
About 3, I think.
Oh, is it 3? All right, 3.
Yeah.
But
it's peanuts, though, isn't it? Squeezing everything juice out the lemon, isn't it?
It seems like it's pissing people off to make such a small amount of money that.
They made triple of the money on Joe Rodon. You know, like he's gone to Leeds. I think they made 15 million on him. So I think we bought him for 12 and sold him for 15. So we made 3 million.
Yeah, but there we go. And you're talking about people who have been going for years. You know, and to be honest, if you want my opinion, this is what Daniel wants. He wants to price the likes of you, Ellie, and you, Adrian, that go to every game. He wants to price you out. And so he can charge maximum price for your seat if you're not there. Because all that stadium is to him, it's like a cash machine. It's just ringing in the cash.
And the fact that you guys aren't paying as much cash as another tourist type fan would pay. And I would pay if I went to the game even.
Well, of course you would.
Levy would rather have me there than.
Well, of course he would. Yeah. Of course he would.
I'm buying a shirt probably because I come once a year.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, Colin, if you turned up, now I'd have no qualms with this. You turn up at the stadium. Have you ever been there? Yeah. You was over it, but your first time at the stadium, your first time at the stadium, I have no qualms with you. It's the same as when Bobby K brought his kids over.
Yeah.
Right. I have no qualms with people that the first time now go in the shop and spend what you like. You know, I mean, you're going to go in, you're going to get all the stuff you can take home for you back to America, Bobby K, Canada. You know, you're going to do that. Fair play to you.
I want to bring up Ben's point here, guys, right? I mean, to me, this is a concern. I think there's a concern for especially us older fans as well.
Yeah.
Tottenham are even less empathetic towards younger fans. It's impossible to get away a ticket because fans who have been there for longer hold the loyalty points. That's true. And also, I mean, surely, apart from earning 3 mil from squeezing every bit of juice out the lemon, there should be consideration to the next generation of Spurs fans? Where are they coming
Yeah.
from? Are they all going to be money people, or you know? I mean, I'm not saying if they're money
That's
people.
what he wants. That is what he wants. That is what he wants.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the likes of me
I know.
or people like that in there. He wants he wants your stockbrokers and all that to go in. That's going to pay maximum money for their ticket. And even if they only go once, there's a queue of people around the block that'll have it the next game.
I mean, I'm not saying that people that have got more money in their pocket or a new generation of younger fans with top jobs won't sing as loud and as proud as existing more traditional fans or more fans that come from a more working class fan base. But I just question that, even though me saying that, I question that, you know. Phil, what do you think about future fan base generations?
Better watch out. You're talking about my generation, Phil. No, I'm just kidding. I'm old now. I'm one of the old guys.
I don't mind it. Do you know what I mean? It's bringing, you know, like you said before, how many million was there of Spurs fans now? 32 million, was it?
No, it's 34 million.
34
I
million.
done the research. I got these facts today. Like, it's 34 million worldwide. If you could tap into them, you're talking about serious money. But,
I mean, you know, it's getting a bigger fan base, isn't it, as well? So I'm all for that. It's just, you know, needless decisions that Levy makes. Like I said before, that, you know, he didn't have to do that. He doesn't have to take away the loyalty points. He's taken away a lot of respect. Well, he's losing respect for fans a lot more when he's making decisions like that. That's all I can really say about it, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's just frustrating.
Ben, yeah, I didn't understand why the kit seemed offensive to people, but I just went ahead and did a little Googling. I get it now. Apologies for the not understanding that.
Yeah. Evening, Naz. We're talking about Levy in the future direction.
Here we go, Haz. Here we go, Haz. You're gonna love this.
That was good timing, wasn't it?
We'll come to you on kit prices then. Throw you right in the deep end, Haz, right? I don't buy the kits myself. I haven't bought a Spurs top because when you buy T-shirts and sweatshirts, they're timeless. You wear them year after year. They're not dated. Like some people like the retro stuff, though. You know, I don't buy them. Admittedly, Spurs signed the contract with Nike, don't they? Nike, I think, fixed the prices. Although I think the prices. I mean, let's see your comment on kits and prices, Haz.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't bought a Spurs kit since we were at the Lane, so a Spurs shirt, not kit. I haven't bought a kit since I was like probably a kid. But so that's my feelings on that. As for the prices, I've actually been to the Spurs shop, but the kits are just insane. I remember the last one I bought was like maybe 40, 50 quid, I think, for the shirt.
Yeah.
And
even that's too much. Even that's
too much. A lot more money now.
But now it's like 100 plus, like £100 like a minimum for a shirt, and it's ridiculous. But does anyone know people who buy these like on a yearly basis? Like, it's so much money for just a shirt.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Certainly not.
The last one I bought was 2 years ago. But now I just most of the time I just get a replica one for about 40, 50 quid.
Probably better.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
I've got ways and means.
Yeah, get it from that guy at Coaching Horses, selling the kits, hanging out. There was a guy there. That's where I got mine.
Yeah,
I've got ways and means. Well, I've got ways and means. I know someone.
There are plenty of sites out there we can go.
I can get a Spurs shirt
for 30 quid. There's loads. And there's one retro guy who designs his own Spurs shirts, and they're wicked.
Yeah,
I prefer the retro ones, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I actually prefer the old shirts. Personally,
I think the last shirt I bought, you had to sew the cockerel on. I'm going to stick with you, Haz, actually, because I want to talk to you about like with family clubs and all that. Like, I mean, like you're talking about a £500 million industry Spurs were last year, 549 million, right? I mean, surely if you have empathy with the fans and all that, you try and engage with them better. You don't keep making all these PR blunders, and like you'd even have concessions for travelling, coach concessions. So like I know they are doing a bit with one coach. There's a green electric coach going on. I don't know what they do, but family clubs do this for a lot of their supporters that go away, don't they? They like get them like cheaper travel. So what's your take on that?
Well, I know you mentioned Levy before, but do you know who our chairman is? So
yeah,
I think that's the answer. You have to milk the fans for everything, including, everything really. I mean, the shirts, as you said, this is insane. I think the price is absolutely insane for a shirt. But for this sort of stuff, it's more just because, to me, what annoys me is just like there's no relationship between him and the fans, in the sense that he doesn't understand a human connection sort of thing. As in, you look at what happens, say, at Leicester, there's a real big, connection between the owners and the fans, and obviously they celebrate when they score and that, but it's more to do with they appreciate them. Like, I don't feel appreciated as a fan, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like,
he could do a lot more. He could do a lot more communication with the fans, in my eyes. I mean,
I agree with that.
There's wording as well, because he calls us client reference number.
Yeah. We are all just a CRN number. That's all we are.
It should be a
CRN
supporter.
number.
Supporter, and like if you've been a supporter for a long time, they should give you like a gold membership and like really honour you as a fan, because
I agree.
When we were successful, it's because the club were unified, from the fans to the tea lady to Bill Nicholson, and we had great success under him. All right, and we weren't playing with 40,000-50,000 pound players. We were playing with, they were like lucky to get 80 quid a week. I know it's all relative, but it's still a little bit of money compared to what they earn now, right? And they played for the badge. But I think footballers nowadays, they're going away from that. They're just after it for a quick buck, because there's a lot of bucks in it.
I know the owners have to go with sort of the times and stuff. But I mean, like, in terms of, like, even around the stadium, like having statues of Bill Nick or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, what's the point? What's the argument in not doing that?
Because there's no sort of history around the stadium where, like, do you know what I mean?
I was told by someone on a space once that they wanted to make this the new, I know it sounds really corny, but this is how he said it. He used to work at the club, doesn't work there anymore, and I can't say his name because just in case. But he was on a space. But I remember hearing this. This was like 2 or 3 years ago. He said that they told them all that this is the old Tottenham, as in the old White Hart Lane, and that's been knocked down, and they were making the new Tottenham. And I think that's part of the issue, because as you know, the Arsenal, they have a statue of is it Henry outside?
Yeah, they got loads.
They've got loads of statues outside.
Yeah.
And
so it's
I've never been there, mind. I've never been there.
Let's build a cinema. Let's build.
Yeah. It's like a Disneyland, man. It's like, do you know what I mean? I just like to see a little bit of heritage, even for the fans, like, Colin coming over, to come to the stadium, fans from afar that want to see the heritage, want to see the history of Tottenham, the legends and stuff,
It's very telling, because the 2 murals we've done, fabulous players, don't get me wrong, Levy King and Harry Kane, brilliant players for us, brilliant servants, but no Steve Perriman, who was our club captain for 850 odd games, right? No Glenn Hoddle, who was a brilliant, he was the best ever player I've ever seen. No Glenn Hoddle statue, because they're not ambassadors to the club, right? And it's a shame, but I just feel there's nothing, when you go into the actual, because I've been to the ladies' side and I've been to the men's side, it's like you go in and it's like all corporate, right? And you have to go to the 6th floor before you ever see any memorabilia of Spurs with Bill Nicholson's writings on the wall, and it should be, as soon as you walk into Spurs Stadium, you see what it's like when the players walk in. It's very cold, very calculated, very corporate. Right, there's nothing to say there's a football club there.
Yeah, like there's no like connection. It's
Yeah.
like the connection is sort of lost between the fans and the club. Like, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
when I was going at White Hart Lane, it was a lot closer. Do you know what I mean? The fans were a lot closer,
especially under Poch. Under Poch,
Yeah,
even though
The
Levy
United,
was in charge,
United fans.
the club felt connected because no one was moaning them.
I think Ange has done that in a sense. I think he has united, you know, a lot of the fan base with just the way he is. Do you know what I mean?
I think he did, but I don't think he gets tribalism, because I was one to say, look, I want to kill Arsenal. I want to bash them one, you know, like really knock them out the park, beat them 5-0. Right?
I understand
that he wants to make Champions League. Of course I do. Right? But there's tribalism as well. We don't want Arsenal to win anything. Why would we want Arsenal to? But he was saying, he came on board and he was saying, I don't understand it. Well, you should understand it, because they done us a dirty back in the day.
He understands it now, doesn't he, Ali?
I think he understands
if he didn't, he does now. Absolutely.
He does. I think I'll go up to him and talk to him in Greek if he wants.
Right, welcome Lord Soren into the chat. I've got a different take to you guys on what you've said, actually, which I'll come to, but I want to get Soren's take. We're not going to backtrack on all we've done, but we've been discussing Levy and the future direction of the club. What's your take on statues and whatever around the stadium? Sorry.
I'm sure about statues outside the stadium. But I certainly think there should be a hell of a lot more internally. You know, we should have so much memorabilia of players' glory. I mean, maybe the fact that we don't have these is because the statues we'd put up would indicate glory times, and when we're not in glory times anymore, are we? So maybe it's, you know, it would go against it. But I mean, look, I think it's hard because you would certainly, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to having statues outside the stadium or something that tells us about Bill Nick and, you know, players like Hoddle and Mabbott and, you know, all the glory times and Shivers and, you know, everything like that. But
to add to that, just to help to assist you in your answer a bit, the stadium's been open since 2019, and the museum isn't open yet.
Yeah.
There we go.
I mean, that's I think that's the telling part to me, that should have been one of the first things open. You know, that there should be somewhere, whether we agree on, you know, forcing old fans or old style fans out and welcoming the day ticket type fans and things like that. But even the fans that are there just for one visit, you know, that have maybe come from Korea or Asia or whatever, you can't tell me they don't want to go in and see the glory days, you know, the pictures of what we used to be like and the history of the club. And, you know, these are the fundamental things that this club should be built upon. And to have so little telling us about that, it's wrong. I mean, it's like trying to, you know, trying to erase part of history, and you shouldn't be doing that to your roots of that football club. And the thing for me is, which is where I think one of the biggest criticisms that Daniel Levy probably should come under is he should be the first person wanting us to remember our history with the knowledge that we aren't doing anything now. So we should be embracing that history and all those cups that we've won and all the glory days and all the fantastic players that we've had in that club. We should be celebrating. Yeah, we should be celebrating all those. You know, it is sad times that, like you say, 5 years, 4 years or whatever into a new build. There's no excuse for that museum not to be open. No excuse.
All you do get if I can just butt in, all you do get, I'm not sure if they still do it, but you get about a minute's video on the screens.
I was going to say
they do,
and they play it at the shop too. When I went for the tour, they played like a video that had like some historical stuff. But I mean, it was a quick thing, and it was just showing off goals and stuff. It wasn't too crazy.
And the thing with this. The thing with this statement is, knowing them lot down the road, they'll be feeding the bloody pigeons berries, so the shit red on the bloody statue.
Phil, you've got to go, haven't you?
In the next 5 or 10 minutes, I've got 5 or 10 minutes. I might be able to drop back in after, but there's a bit of news about SPL. I'll just come up. Final round of talks close tomorrow. Final round of talks tomorrow.
Who's this with?
Emerson Royal.
Oh.
Fabrizio Romano said about it.
Let me give you my take on statues. I'm not in favour of statues outside the ground for vandalism and other things, cleaning, blah, 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 and all that. Right? The museum should be up and running where it's supposed to be above the Spurs shop, which is the biggest shop in Europe. That's where it's supposed to be. I don't know if they was going to have another section around the ground. I'm all for murals around the ground and reliefs, whether they're carved relief in stone of the double side and all that, and on the walls and stuff like that. There are some things on the walls around the ground, like they've got the decibel, like the old heart monitor, arrows going up and down. You know what I mean? Like for the singing and from the shelf side and all that round there. They've got not enough, nowhere near enough. My issue with statues is you'd be inundated. When we're going to start with John Cameron. Are you going to start with like John Cameron, like when they won the cup against Sheffield United when he was manager, and Jones was the only international. He was club captain. He scored a goal. So did Cameron. Whatever. You're going to start with him. Or you're going to talk about Pete McWilliam and and Vic Buckingham, who were pioneers of the Dutch total football in the 70s. Then you got Bill Nicholson, Arthur Rowe. Right. You can talk about them. Keith Birkinshaw. Venables won the FA. How many statues? And that's just the managers. Just how many statues do you want? You know what I mean? I mean, like, and who earns the right to have a statue and who doesn't?
There should only be one. That, if I can interject, there should only be one statue, and that's Bill Nick. Bill Nick should have a statue. A million %.
Yeah.
All right, it's the most successful manager. So
I mean, you could probably say the same. You could probably say the same for around the Arsenal stadium, the statues like Henry and that, their history. Do you know what I mean? Like from past managers or past players that they had at their club, they've sort of picked a few out that have been icons for Arsenal.
Yeah.
That gone down the road, whatever they are. And then, so at least we could make some sort of pick out.
Phil, can I just stop you a second? You mentioned Arsenal.
Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go. Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Arsenal get battered everywhere they go.
I mean, I would say
that feels better. You can carry on now, Phil.
It really is a shame that Arsenal don't get that.
Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go.
Carry on, Phil.
I can't say any more, really. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, we could say West Ham.
Why don't we get Adrian?
Or Chelsea.
Oh my God, what are you doing? Right.
That's my sister.
I was going to say, big up to the girl.
No, we don't mind playing
Yeah.
it now and again for a bit of light-hearted entertainment, guys. But obviously, if we know that at times the chat channel and you guys will get a bit waggish, so obviously we will have to put a stop to it sometime.
Adrian, I was going to say, why don't you ask Phil to put somebody into the room 101 that you've got?
No, we'll do all that later if we get there. Yeah,
Well, we've got to go in a minute.
He's going to go in a minute, isn't he?
Yeah, I might be able to drop back in.
Well, just leave yourself on whatever screen out or something, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So on the statues now, are you? I mean, do you think we could end up with like hordes of statues outside the ground then? You know, and what about flags outside the ground? A bit of colour. No.
Well, from what I've seen, there's nothing on that stadium that says that Tottenham played her. All right, there's a cockerel done in with, but there's not really a lot. You know, if you just turned up there and you didn't pay attention, you wouldn't know that was Tottenham's ground.
I suppose that's maybe because with the no naming rights yet, then if you put something up saying the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium or something, and then you've got to change it, it's kind of pointless. I mean, to me, I think on that side, it's a shame that Daniel Levy just doesn't come out and say, we are going to call this the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah.
And just have done with, you know, forget the naming rights money.
Well, they employed someone to do it.
He ain't going to forget that, though, is he? Sorry.
I know.
Chelsea.
I tell you what, though, if it, I mean, I might be totally wrong. People in the chat and, you know, Mark and you might be able to tell me, but if he came out and said, right, we're going to name this the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, forget the naming rights money and blah, blah, blah. Do you think that would kind of go somewhere for the fans to say, do you know what, that's about the best thing you've ever done for this club?
Well, he could call it White Hart Lane, and that'd be the best thing.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, though, with White Hart Lane, I mean, we all call it White Hart Lane anyway, don't we?
Yeah, definitely.
He could have done that with the concessions, though. Sorry, instead of the naming rights. You know what I mean?
I think they've stayed off the naming rights because they found that Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the brand has been enhanced abroad in America and everywhere else because of the events that are held there, the football and every other event that's held there. There's going to be 30 now, isn't it? It's been agreed by the council instead of how many they've got there at the moment. Yeah. But and I mean, you're limited to how many you can do because you've only got so many away games each season, 19, haven't you? And you've got 9 weeks out the 11 of the close season where we've got in the transfer in and out in the summer where you could probably put on events, you know. So there is only so many you can put on. I'm not against the events if the money goes back to the football team, you know, and is invested in a football team because it doesn't hurt no one. I know people moan about the events. They use it.
Why?
Here as well. There's enough to criticise Spurs without adding like the events to it and everything else, like to like strengthen the case for like your hate for Levy or whatever it is. But I mean, to me, I mean, I have my own gripes with him. I'm sure we all do. Yeah. But the naming rights, I mean, that's another thing. I think that Sky Bar hanging over, or whatever it is, hanging over the Paxton Road end and all stand, I think that must be part of the deal because you're going to want 15, 20, 25 mil a season for naming rights still at that stadium. People will want more than like prawn sandwich and a glass of wine for it, aren't they? When they come to the ground. So,
is that even open yet? Is that even open yet?
No, it's not been opened at all. And I think maybe it might even be. I mean, I don't even know if it's kitted out as a restaurant, a bar, or anything like that. I tried asking the trust, didn't get no answers. They didn't know either, right? So So when. I mean, I'm thinking maybe it isn't kitted out. Maybe whoever gets the naming rights will kit it out in a fashion that they want. You know, I mean, I don't know. But it's obviously there to view over the pitch. So it's an observation area anyway. I mean, but it's got to be a restaurant and bar as well up there, surely. You know what I mean? So...
I ain't walking back to the ground floor. I'm not walking back to the ground floor for a pint. 20 miles.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so, right, now let's talk about something which... fans tend to want to jump at a lot with regard to leaving that. What do you hope as individuals that will come? Now, I'm confident that we will get an investor in the club. I'm not so confident we'll get a new owner, right? But if we get an investor, I mean, What are you hoping? Do you think, like me, it's more likely to be because we have the NFL and we do start in there now, that it'll be somehow linked with Formula One, or more likely an American investor because of the NFL, and it'll help enhance their business as well. Sorry?
Look, I'm going to look at this a couple of ways. If the investment is, it's great. New owners, all right, wishing for new owners, but you can't then dictate who's going to be the new owner. And what's to say they're going to be any better than Daniel Levy is? And you can all sit there and say, well, it can't be any worse. Well, it could be. It could actually be a lot worse. You know, we've seen in the past, I mean, I've seen other sort of channels where they're going, we want Levy out, but we don't want this person, we don't want that person, we only want this and we only want that. Well, you can't dictate that. You know, if Lewis and Levy sell up, we don't know who's going to take it. It could be a shit show. But then
somebody that doesn't even really have the money, somebody that, you know, and there could be ongoing. Yeah, I mean,
the only way that you're going to get what you want as those fans that want Levy out and want, you know, you want a sugar daddy, so you're wanting an Abramovich or something like that. Well, you know, it's all right then. And then what happens in 5-10 years if we're in the same shit show as Chelsea and Man City are now? I mean, yeah, we'll have probably won something because we'll have bought those trophies. Do we want that? Yeah. I mean, we all want those away days when we win a trophy, you know, and as a fan, it doesn't take away from it. But, you know, you then sit there and you think, well, we could get relegated or whatever. But and if somebody invests into the club, you know, what's to say we're going to get what we want if we get investment? You know, you just don't know what's going to happen.
It's tough. Like I was saying, the devil you know sometimes is better than the devil you don't.
Yeah. You know, I mean, we could get Amanda Staveley come in and get this, you know, this investment from her and whoever backs her again. And it could go to the players and it might not. You know, it could go on the cinemas and things like that and the hotel. We don't know. This is the problem. And the thing is, with a lot of people that will be looking to buy Tottenham Hotspur, they'll be looking at it for the business side now because of what Daniel Levy has built. And that just means they'll be coming in. They could sell off all the assets and then walk away. And the club could be bankrupt. So, you know, it's so hard to know. I think the days of sugar daddies and spending millions and hundreds of millions and billions of pounds, I think they're basically gone. I agree. Now you know, if we were going to get that sort of money and do that, we probably wanted it to be done around that Poch era. Yeah, around the Poch era.
All right. I'll come to Phil, then go to you, Colin. Phil,
I've actually got to jump, Adrian.
Okay, fine. Well, then I'll go to Colin.
I might be able to jump back in after. It is on night. It is on night, so there's no bosses there. So.
You're the boss, man.
Thanks for coming on. We'll get you back.
Very good to see you, Phil. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you.
We'll get you back, right?
Yeah, night, Phil.
So, Colin, what's your take?
Yeah,
what's your take on an investor or an owner? What would your hopes be with a new investor or owner?
You know, Adrian, I think everybody is fed up in a way, or to an extent. You know, with Levy, everybody's got their complaints. He's not perfect in any way. There's people that would have him out right away. Personally, regardless of what I want, I don't think it's likely that we get Levy to sell, or, you know, Levy and Enoch and, you know, Lewis. I don't think it's likely we get them to sell. Levy seems to really like his job, so I don't see him stepping down. Even if someone else were to invest a lot of money, even if we were to sell, I could see Levy staying on as chairman. So I guess at the end of the day, it's about what I think is realistic. And I realistically think that I'm hoping and trying to be realistic at the same time that we get some investment, that Levy continues to step back and to, you know, let quote unquote footballing people do the footballing stuff, And it does appear that we're moving in that direction, and I'm happy about it. As long as this new owner, not new owner, but a new investor is going to have to be willing to know that they're not going to have full control, clearly, because that's just something that Levy will never give up. I don't think anything bad could really come from it, but I don't want the club. I'm one of the few. I don't think I want the club to be sold, at least not right away. I'm afraid, like you were saying, of what could happen, of what Soren was saying, of what could happen. Who buys the club? This is an expensive thing. There's probably 5 or 10 people.
Yeah, you're one of the group that hang on to nerves for fear of something worse. That's
unfortunately, I know that's not a great way to live your life, but with something like this, I mean, there's danger around every corner. Rich people sometimes aren't good people. You don't become the billionaire for good reasons usually, and so we just want to be wary of what we got. I understand that the owners we have now are far from squeaky clean, far from it. Hey, Alan, big up, dude. Thank you, man. And
great guy.
Gifted 5 Talking Ball memberships. Look at that. Whoa, thank you. Thanks, Alan. And but yeah, I know that Joe Lewis, even Levy in some aspects probably are far from squeaky clean people, but just think of how much worse it could be. And try to also give me a list of 5 names that you think would be a plausible replacement or plausible owners. You know what I mean? It's just there's not that many rich people in the world.
Right. Mark, coming to you, what do you hope out of new owners or new investors?
As a lot of channels that I watch have said, it's not up to me to find a new owner. I haven't got a Rolodex with billionaires in it. If they're out there, they'll come in. Right? If we get investment, I'd like it to be put on the football to start with. No hotels. Forget that. We're a football club. We want, and I demand, success on the pitch. For a start. That's the least a fan demands. Right. But not demand success, that's probably wrong. But to try for success. And if you want my opinion, we haven't tried for 24 years. Ever since he's been here. He's not interested. He's not interested. All he's interested in is 4th place. Get the Champions League money rolling in. Get that rolling in. Because you look how much money you actually get if you win an FA Cup. To us on this panel, that'd mean the world.
Oh, but
in actual prize money, you get about what, 5 million? That's nothing.
Pocket change. The amount of money they're stealing from the concessions for the elderly.
Yeah, exactly. Winning is not important to him.
All right, Mark. So on the proviso, then, say the club was up for sale now, which it probably is anyway, and there was a buyer came in now who was a businessman, and we know nothing about him. Would you be happy for that to be sold with the very possibility that he is only there for the business side of the club and runs it exactly the same way as Daniel Levy does now? But you've got your wish in the fact it's been sold.
Well, certainly. Well, to be honest, I'm not a businessman and I haven't got billions of pounds. But you'd like to think that the due diligence was done, because you've got to pass all these tests.
The due diligence is only there to say whether they're the right type of people. So in that sense, are you saying that the right type of person does not include somebody who would run it as a business?
Well, to be honest, if someone else come in and run it as a business, what's the difference in what it is now?
So this is what I'm saying to you.
But there's no difference.
Exactly.
There's no difference. But what I want is someone to come in and put the football inside for us. Because we are what? We are the 7th richest in the world. In the world, this is. It's about time we started acting like it, not scrabbling about.
Yeah.
Like, pay the wages for players, and they will come. Not penny pinch at every
I hear what you're saying.
Opportunity.
So I'm getting the vibes today off of everyone here that basically what we want, I mean, if it's an investor or a new owner, the important thing is we want a cultural change at this club. A cultural change.
You can't guarantee that, though,
what
can
was you going to say, Colin?
Oh no.
Go on,
no,
you have
no.
your stand then, Ellie, and then we'll come to me.
Oh no, it wasn't anything important. I was just going to say that, you know,
Right.
if somebody comes in and they run the club just like a business, then what's the point of forcing Levy out if we're just going to get somebody in that's a similar person?
Exactly, it's the same as what it is now. So,
Ellie, what would your hope be for out of a new investor or possible owner, which is less likely?
I just like Mark reiterated there. I just want to see us be successful on the pitch, and I want a visionary man or woman, whoever it may be, someone who's going to take us forward and make us act like a big club and go for our top targets and get our top targets
exactly.
And make up, because when you, like Man City, they seized the power with the money and now they've got the trophies. And the trophy usually, I always say about the Al Pacino quote in Scarface, first you get the power, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the girl. And the girl is the trophies, right? So I just feel that we've lost sight of that. You know, and we've had some fantastic players. We've made 6 finals and won one of them. It could have easily gone the other way. We could have easily won those matches because, like Soren said in our last show, we had good players to beat Liverpool as well. We had enough good players on that pitch, without even Kane being cropped. We had enough in that team to beat Liverpool, and we just didn't turn up. It's like we're freezing in finals. So I do feel that we're the nearly men, aren't we? Because we've had so many semi-finals as well under Levy's tenure, where we've been so close, you know. And the players that we've had are remarkable players, and they've gone on to Real Madrid's, to Barcelona's, to Sevilla's. They've gone abroad and won things, and they've even won things in England. So it's not as if we haven't bought the players to
again,
take
Ali. So
I'm
sorry, Ali, but like historically, with Levy, we've had a very good first 11, very good, but we just haven't had the depth when it's needed. When it's needed, like these semi-finals, when we've had injuries. Or when we've had suspensions, we've had nothing to come in to make us as good.
Because you do need a squad.
Well, of course you do. And that is what Levy...
The players who will compete for those places to make the ones in the first 11 who get on that team sheet to buck up their ideas and make sure they're playing out of their skins. And there's too much comfort. And we've also held on to players that we should never have held on to. The ones that we should have held on to have gone on to pastures new and won everything.
Bell, Modric.
Sheringham. Bell, Modric, even Eric Lamela, even Brian Hill. We see him celebrating with the Europa Cup, right? And he's like, everybody's saying he's a lightweight for the Premiership, and he's gone to Sevilla and won the Europa Cup with Sevilla, right? So I feel let down by this regime, because they are an investment company, so their ideology is to make money. That's what their goal is. And if you're judging them on that, they've been fantastic.
People who stand up for Levy, they just back mediocrity.
No,
that's all we are.
No, I'm not having that. You're talking crap, and it's same as Daniel here. No,
rubbish.
You're talking rubbish because all I'm trying to say is it's like Daniel's just listening, and a lot of the Levy outers listen to certain words just so they can have the argument. My argument is that I'd like the club to be sold tomorrow to a Saudi bloke who's going to chuck money at the club, at the team. Yeah, of course I would. And then we go on and win cups and things like that. All I'm trying to say is you're all sitting here saying we don't want Daniel Levy, but we only want this person or that person. What happens if you get exactly the same type of person who buys Tottenham at £3.75 billion? You're not getting somebody who's going to come in and just chuck the money at the team. You're getting a business person. And people like Daniel, and I'm not being rude here, Mark, but people like yourself will be the first ones to moan that we've got the exact same as what we've got or worse. You cannot sit here and say, we want a new owner, but it has to be this, that, or the other. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm not in any way standing up for Daniel Levy on the pitch.
I didn't say you were. I didn't say you were.
No, I know you're not, but I've got these people in the chat saying it, where we all want success at this club. There isn't a single fan of Tottenham Hotspur that does not want success for the club. But some people just want to say, oh, we want Levy out and we want this person to take up.
Right.
You've got to get the right person in to take the club forward.
I've got one question for you. Yeah. You have just quoted, I want success at the club. Do you think we will get success at the club while Mr. Levy is at the helm?
I can see it, yeah. But I'm not saying...
When is this?
Well, this is it. I mean, you've just listened to Ellie say we've been in 6 finals. So we could have had success at the club. Now, we can sit here and say, oh, well, the players were shit. Well, it's funny how the players have gone on to win stuff at other clubs. Now, that might be because of Daniel Levy. But he doesn't pick the team that was on the pitch that got us to a final that lost in the final.
What I would say to that, I think we're losing the sight, right? What we haven't done, we've got like the first 11, but there's also key positions that we could have strengthened in for managers when it was the time to strike. And we always leave ourselves short. Always. Like this transfer window, we thought it was going to be wonderful. We've got 3 18-year-olds at the moment. They're not going to be first teamers as such, apart maybe from Archie Gray, if we're lucky, right? But they're not of the ilk yet that is going to take us to that next level. So we have to make sure that this period now before the season starts, we get some players in, because those first 11, they're going to think, yes, we've only got 3 18-year-olds. They'll be chomping at the bit, don't get me wrong, to play, but they're not going to take us to that next level. So we do need strengthening, and we need it now, because
we're going to blend our conversation.
Right. No. Just one moment. Right. I always go back to this. You look at when Pochettino was there, and we finished 3rd and 2nd 2 seasons running.
Yeah, the best we've ever done.
Right. Instead of filling the squad out so we could get first, what do? We went 518 days without signing anybody.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Right. And we just needed that little push. And this is what Daniel will not do.
Matt, why did we go that length of time without signing anybody?
Because they were building the stadium.
What?
Aren't they?
Well, this is what I said. Daniel's more interested in the cash machine than he is us being successful.
Right. Let me have my take on
investors.
Yeah.
My take on investors. One thing that gets me is that word investor. Now, Jim Ratcliffe has took a chunk of Man United, but obviously there'll be rules. You are not going to put, hundreds of millions of pounds into a club and not have no big say in what happens. So he gets some sort of, or a fair amount of control, or all control over the footballing side. My concern with investors are because the word investor itself. We know when Sugar sold up, he kept a proportion of shares, right? So we know, and he's generated, and the club has generated a lot of wealth, and it's grown and it's increased in value. So his shares have gone up exponentially, right? Which he knew would happen. The same would happen with Levy and all that a fair ago. They will never give up. They're always going to keep a sizable chunk of the shares in the club. If an investor comes in, I get a bit alarmed when it's like 4 or 5 people want to get together and they want to get a lump sum of money and then they want to invest it in Spurs. Well, then they haven't got no money to do anything else. So basically all they're going to do is invest in the club, knowing that their equity will go up in value. We looked at Levy saying like they want investors in the club to increase their equity. Yeah. Why? The first thing you have to ask yourself is, if someone was to buy, we're not going to mention names here because I think Ian's going to do a show on this later, and when it comes to money and things like that, right? So when it comes to investing in the club, if the club is worth like 3.5 or 3.75 billion and someone buys a a 10% stake, say it's 350 million, right? Then you have to ask yourself, well, what are the owners going to do with the money? What are they going to do with the money? How much are they going to invest it in a football team? And how much are they going to invest it in equity? And they will invest it in the club and in the hotel and all that, a part of that. And I'm not against it in the women's training ground, making that world class. I'm not against that. But they will do that as part of any investment. It will happen because that will increase the value of the club. And the same will if they build the hotel, it will increase the value of the club, you know. And as Tottenham is a poor area, if other works are done by private money from Spurs that are not involved with the club, but if Levy, other companies that are not Spurs related around there, the more you gentrify Tottenham, the more the land value increases. Therefore, the stadium increases in value as well. So we know all this. We've seen it. We've seen it in areas like Brixton when the locals have complained about the area being gentrified and things like that. You get that every time there's a modernisation program in an area or improvement area. You know, you get this. So my concern with an investor, with a new owner, obviously due diligence. Would you prefer an Arab who come with a stereotypic image of not being honest and dodgy, or would you prefer an American? But as Soren alluded to, no billionaire comes with a clean bill of health, do they? They don't. I mean, you don't. To say in a way, you can't accuse them without you get taken to court. But like, you know, you don't earn an honest billion or 10 billion or 15 or 20 billion. It just, the maths don't add up. Like logically, to me, they don't anyway, right? So I don't see, and with a new investment, and I'll come to what I really want. The days of a sugar daddy owner are over because the rules prevent you from overspending, right? You can only spend so much. So the more Spurs can keep their costs down, their football-related costs down, it doesn't matter about the Super League, stadium infrastructure, and all that. The more you can keep your costs down, right, and the more revenue you earn, by the time you take one for another and take the 80% off, which you're allowed to spend, then you can spend more money in the transfer market. My grouse with Levy in that is I want us to be able to maximise what we have available to spend in the transfer market, not have a piecemeal transfer market and we're left with like 60 million in the bank of the fund or something, which will go to pay off pay off the interest or part of the debt. And like, that's my concern with the transfer market. I mean, like, I am, and on that, right, we'll come to that, right? Let's just talk. We'll move on. I mean, it's been a very good, mature, and sensible debate, guys. And so, like, that's all well and good.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to the transfer market, right? Because so far, this is a grouse of mine as well, right? Outgoing done deals, right? Joe Roden, 12 mil. Hoiberg, 15.25, right? Parrott, 8 mil. Iago Santiago, don't know, maybe a mil or two. Emerson's down to 15 mil, which is 12.75, right? And Gill on a loan to buy for Girona, right? Now, without the Gill money, that's 48 million we've brought in, right? 48 million, and without anything for Santiago. And we haven't sold Regulant or Lo Celso, right? We have actually bought Archie Gray for 40 million, reputedly. I mean, we don't know the exact figure. And Yang Min Hyuk for 4 million, 44 million. We've already made a profit in the transfer window, guys. I mean, you couldn't make it up, could you? So, like, and we don't know what our transfer kit is. Now, the club shouldn't announce it. I don't believe the club should announce how much a transfer kit is because the club's buy for part prices of players and things like that. But if we take on average, without other figures I've spouted in other podcasts, the general consensus, we've spent 600 million since the stadium's open on 29 players. Actually, it's 685. So you're looking at, say, 600 million lower figure. That means on average, even with a season and a half of COVID, we've spent 120 million in each transfer window. I mean, you add it up, Romero, 50 odd million, Porro, 50 odd million. You know, you got VDV 40 odd to 50 million. That's 150 there, isn't it? You know, so and like it's sort of Richarlison 50 million. You know, you're over 200. So like it adds up. It don't take long for the figures to add up. So so on that basis, we should in theory have 120 million to spend now because we haven't spent any money as such. I know we have on accounts and all that, and it'd be a breakdown, and we don't know how much was paid in full for, but that all goes on the books of that. So we should have 120. So I don't see no excuses for not going out and bringing at least another 3 players in this window. Soren?
I mean, I'm getting fed up of the transfer window for probably different reasons to everybody else. Every season we go on about backing the manager and getting the player in that the manager wants. And then the manager comes out and tells us the players he wants, or from what we assume. And everybody don't want that player because they're not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. Or them, you know, everybody has an opinion that these players aren't good enough.
Let them know. Yeah, you're right. No, 100%. I'm just agreeing. I agree with you completely.
You know, and it's like we said the other night, we haven't got a clue who the hell we're going to sign. I mean, it certainly looks like we're going to sign Solanke now, but this is the player that the manager seems to want, and now the fans are in uproar because they don't want him. But we've got to back the manager, and then the argument is, well, if we're backing the manager, we would have done it earlier. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. There's no arguing apart. If the players that were at the Euros, then that argument is void. But when you're going to sign Solanke, you look at it and think, well, he wasn't at the Euros, was it? So, you know, why didn't we sign him sooner? So we just go round and round and round and round with these transfer windows. The only time we can kind of look at the window and say whether it was a success or not is at the end of it, if we've actually signed any decent players. And I know Mark will come in and say, well, we should be signing some established players. And I agree with that. You know, that this is the problem but then we say, well, who are the established players? If we get Solanke, then half the fan base will tell us, well, he's not an established player because he's only done 1 season. Well, all right, then. So we go to Eze. It looks like either the manager doesn't want Eze, we were never linked to Eze, or Eze doesn't want to come or something, you know. And then we'll get, well, what, just pay the money? What's to say we haven't looked at it and it's not viable? I don't know. I just think it would be so much nicer if we went back to the days before social media, where all these rumours don't come out everywhere and we're signing this player, that player, this player, that player. Everybody wants this player, that player, this player, that player. We don't get the players that half the fans want, so it's terrible. We haven't backed the manager. We get the players that the manager wants, and it's terrible because the players aren't good enough. So, well, you know, I just don't know what to make of it anymore. I think the problem with the club is, and I can't remember if it was Mark who said it or somebody, one of us, where the only time in recent history where the club seems to have kind of come together was under Poch.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah, and you know, I think that is probably as much truth as any of us can ever say. I think that's the last time most of the fan base were pretty much united. And since then, you know, we've gone on, and I think somebody said it in, you know, we had Conte, we had Mourinho. Fans didn't want those managers. Some fans did. Some fans thought it would bring success. Other fans just thought it was a disaster. And then you get Ange. All of a sudden, the first 10 games, everybody's kind of on board with it because we're starting to win. We're starting to look good. The wheels fall off a little bit, and then all of a sudden, it's back to normal. The fan base just splits and splinters. And you look at it and you think, right, you know, this summer we were expecting big things. I just think everything sort of comes down on it, and you think it's an impossibility. I mean, had we gone and signed or if we went on to sign Eze, Tony, and say Chiesa, you kind of look at it and say, well, it was justified because we maybe couldn't get them in any earlier. If we go on and sign somebody like Solanke and somebody else who weren't at the Euros, then you've got to say, well, why is it taking so long? So until we actually get these players through the door and see who we sign, it's so hard to put an argument against it because we don't know the circumstances. It's like going back to was it last January before, where we went for Porro, and everybody's moaning that, oh, Daniel Levy isn't paying the money, and then it comes out and it wasn't us that was stalling, it was Sporting because
they wanted him to play.
Yeah, they wanted to play in the final. They wouldn't release him any sooner, but the fans that were moaning still won't accept that.
No, because they know everything.
It was still Daniel Levy's fault. Well, again, you can look at the players now. If we were going for the Ezes and the Tonys or Chiesas or whoever, then there is reasons behind the fact we haven't signed them. If we go for players like Solanke, what is the excuse?
There isn't one. There isn't one.
Well,
So,
only that he wasn't first choice, and the reason it's taken so long is because they've explored other options. They didn't work out, and now we're falling back onto Solanke.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the argument. Well, but then you'll get, it seems to be emerging over the last day or two that Solanke is the choice because he fits the profile better. Well, all of a sudden, if he fits the profile better, why wasn't he first choice?
Well, he should have been a month ago then. If he was, you know what I mean?
Or maybe, maybe Bournemouth said, absolutely not. No way. We're not selling him. And then now they're like, hey, maybe.
Exactly. But of course.
But this goes back further, guys, doesn't it? Because, Colin, I'll come to you and then I'll come to Mark on this. Surely, right, from the beginning of the season, we bring Johan Langer in as director of football. Surely, right, he has been working all season, compiling lists of players and all this. So I get the argument, and why haven't we actually done any business? Now, all right, we know, right, one, the club's got to be willing to sell. Two, the players got to want to come. And three, you've got to be able to structure a deal. And four, Ange's got to want the player. So Johan Langer shouldn't really be going for players that Ange doesn't want. Surely they should sit down. So this has got me perplexed because, I just find it a bit strange, especially now that we're linked with Solanke. After all the strikers we've been rumoured to be linked with, we may find out that we weren't linked with some of them by the time the window closes. They might say no, but because Ange has already said there's a lot of misinformation out there.
And we know Paratici likes to have like 6 or 7 options for a position just in case something happens. He doesn't want to be left with, with no plan, with nothing done. So he gets a lot of deals done to a certain point. And then backs off, explores the one he's most interested in. If it doesn't work, he'll revisit one of his other options. And I think that's the way you have to work. And, maybe that's what's been going on here. We've had a list of options, and it's not necessarily in order of who would be the best. It's just a list of options that fit and that are available, and we would go for any of them.
I mean, this comment from Daniel, I think you can look at it 2 ways. One, you can say it's absolutely spot on. Because, we're at the 7th of August now. We're, 2 weeks away from the league starting, and we haven't got those players that we would consider established players to come into the team. Fully agree with that. But then you could also flip it and say, the season hasn't started yet. And maybe where we had the argument last year when we was in the Carabao Cup, League Cup, and we played 9 different players because Ange wanted to see how his players fitted. What's to say, and this is playing devil's advocate, what's to say that Ange didn't turn around and say, let's just hold off and see how many of these kids might be good enough before we go and sign some players? Because 1 or 2 of these kids might be able to step up into these positions, and we don't need to
save us money so we can spend bigger in another position.
Exactly. Now, if that's the case and we still go and sign somebody like Solanke, you've got to question what the hell is going on, because there are.
Am I the only one that I don't think Solanke's a bad player though?
I don't think he's a bad player, but why do we have to wait this long to then sign Solanke? That's the argument. That if we were going for a big name player like say a Vlahovic or somebody like that, and which again it's probably going back to the Hakimi days, they're not going to come. But if we, if all of a sudden Vlahovic was holding the shirt up tomorrow, we'd all be like, wow.
Yeah.
And but if Solanke's holding the shirt up, now he might fit the system. And if that's the player Ange wants, then you've got to respect that, because that means Daniel Levy has done what Ange wanted. But
I'm just saying, I think he'll score goals next season, no matter where he's at.
Yeah, I think he will. And I think the problem with Solanke is, there's 2 ways to look at him. He's either starting to hit form and get where he wants to be. Last year was his best season.
Or a purple patch. Yeah.
Yeah. This season might be even better and blah, blah, blah. Or it could be a one-season wonder. This is the thing. But then, we'll have the fans coming out saying, oh, we should be taking a punt on so-and-so. Well, if we're going to take a punt on so-and-so, why don't we take a punt on Solanke? But the problem is the fact it has taken so long to get to the point of signing a Solanke has to be questioned. It has to be questioned.
Do you know what? Do you want my opinion on this?
Yeah,
No,
I believe that Tony was our main target, and he has said no. Right? Or Brentford have said no, or because his alleged replacement is now injured for 6 months or whatever it was, and so we're dipping down the list. He's
exactly
what Paul
Yeah,
has target list.
Paul O'Keefe.
Lot and nothing leaking out. Yeah. But to me, well, only from what I've read in the media. Now, as far as these so-called ITKs go, right? All I can say about them is if you chuck as much, am I allowed to swear? Right? If you chuck shit about, some of it's going to stick. And no one talks about all the nonsense they talk about, and it doesn't come true. But everyone will go back to the one bit that they got right after they posted about 1 million targets. And, see, I told you. And then they go up a ranking. They're level 1 or whatever it is, or A or something, whatever it is. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. But my theory on Solanke is that Tony was our target. Brentford have said no, or they want the whole 60 million up front. Or
well, the injury to their striker has
I've said that the one they brought in supposedly to replace him is now injured, and so or Brentford, because let's not forget Tony has got a release clause, and it was always said that Brentford wanted most of it up front. Now, no business.
Tony had a release clause. I thought that was just Eze.
It says that. It's not Tony. Tony's in his last year, so.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. That's me just being a bit old and stupid.
Yeah, 60
You're
million.
not stupid. Don't say that.
And so maybe Brentford have said, well, no, our replacement's injured now for 6 months. We're not selling him, and so they've looked at the next one. And that's where the Solanke's come out. That's my theory on it.
I think you hit the nail on the head. We've said it so many times, Mark, where we haven't got a clue who our targets are. This is the problem. And look, the targets will be, and this is again where you've got to go back and listen to what Ange said, that we are still exploring our first choices. Well, if we're still exploring the first choices, and it is Solanke, which he was mentioned a fair while ago as well, then you've got to look at and say, why the hell has it taken so long?
Yeah, why wasn't he in before pre-season?
Yeah, and that's where I would agree with the fan base where they're saying we should have signed early. Yes, because there is no reason other than that maybe Bournemouth were saying this is the price and it was a stupid price, and they're now.
Yeah, sometimes if you wait longer in the transfer window, prices go down naturally.
But then you'll get those saying, well, just pay the money. And then you get it where we're saying, well, 60 million for Solanke. Oh, it's too much money. So you can't have it both ways. But I think the biggest problem is that you had Ange come out and say, we want to get our signings in early. And then everybody took that as, oh, we are getting our signings in early. And then everyone forgets that we've got the Euros and things like that. And sometimes it just doesn't happen quick, but it then depends on who you end up signing.
The player themselves. I mean, it has to do with them. They have to make the decision. It's
exactly.
a thing, they have to decide with their family. There's so many moving parts. There's so many moving parts that we don't see as fans or as
you
supporters.
can't tell me that Solanke won't jump at the chance to come to Tottenham when he's been
No, I
playing at
can't.
Bournemouth.
Bring him.
couldn't tell you.
No.
Yeah.
Bring him. I think man, I know I sound insane, but I honestly think that he would be a great player for us. I think that he would. I had a comment just there, but I think he would definitely put away the low crosses that we spam into the box. He's a physical presence, but he's also not bad with his back to the goal. I think he's a pretty complete striker. I'd really like to have him. How many is Timo getting? Timo is going to get 6 and 4 assists.
Well, personally,
I bet you would get more.
Personally, I hope he doesn't play 1 minute.
And he'll miss 12 big chances, right? So,
per game. Per game.
Yeah, but he'll score a couple clutch goals. He'll score a winner or two, and I won't shut up about it when it happens.
The thing is, though, I mean, you know, everybody's sitting here slating Timo, and yet he's the one player that it seems that our manager wanted. So we've backed our manager by getting him back in, and then everybody's up in arms because we've done that.
And we smartly got him only on a loan, so we could get the manager what he wanted, but we didn't keep an old player for longer than a season. And he does exactly what he's asked. He's the only player on their team that'll beat their man consistently and put in those low crosses. Where if you watch Celtic and when he was a coach, that was one of their main features, and that's where a lot of their goals came from. And I think, I don't know. I think Brenda's for every player.
What we're led to believe, right? Levy a step back, if you believe that or not, right? The budget goes to Scott Munn because he's chief football officer. Then you've got Johan Lang, who's our director of football. You've got Rob McKenzie, chief scout. You've got Max Leggett, we've took off Bayern Munich as a first team scout, right? And you've got Ange. Now, surely, even from the beginning of the season, like, Johan Lange will be working. He doesn't work just this month or during this transfer window.
He better not.
And like I'm as perplexed as everyone is why? I mean, have we like queued up so many players, and in the end, like it's come back to bite us that like they've turned around and said no, or whatever clubs have said we've been too slow to act, or this, that, and the other. I'm perplexed why we haven't do it now. I mean, look. I know the Premier League were crap by not opening the window after season closed, and then they opened it on the 14th when the Euros started, and all. We know all that was crap. But we should still have been working. The wheel should still have been in motion from the beginning of the season. From Lang, so Johan Lang, if this transfer window, I'm expecting 3 more players, right? Maybe I'm being delusional, right? But if we don't bring 3 in. I will be disappointed. I will be disappointed because, like, they've had all season to look at players, compile lists in each position, decide who to go for. Now, maybe the clubs we've spoken to run out of patience with us or whatever. We don't know, do we? There's no transparency, and nor should they tell us who they're after. But surely they must move quicker than this mark. You know what I mean? They must start getting into gear. I mean, it's a slow process. Yeah. I wonder if fans are getting increasingly frustrated and angry, you know?
Yeah. Well, and, you know, I believe that, you know, everyone's getting, because we haven't got anybody in that overwhelmingly is going to improve us. You know, all right, we bought the 2 youngsters. Do they improve us? Who knows? Who knows? You know? But you want signings to come in that are going to walk into your, especially the team we got. Because let's face it, we had massive gaping holes.
Yeah, but you know my opinion on the youngsters with Bergvall, and when people say, "Do they improve us?" and I've said on a couple of podcasts, we tread water with them, but it's undeniable. What is it? Archie Gray is definitely better than Emerson and Davis, right? And Bergvall's definitely better than Skip. So that's undeniable, right?
Treading water is going backwards, though, because if you stay still, everyone else is going ahead of you.
We don't know what they'll give us in the season. And even with established players, our established players that are supposed to take us forward, Madison and Basuma were crap last season, and they're the ones that are supposed to be the guiding lights for the younger players. Sorry, Soren. I've got on a bit of a
Just remind everyone, though, that we're all moaning about, we're on the 7th of August. What happened last summer? We got 2 or 3 players in early, and then everybody's moaning because we didn't get anybody else in later on. So, you know, it's baffling as to
you can't make fans happy.
No, I mean, the thing that I would argue with that, if we get the right players in, and everyone keeps telling me this, so I'm quoting everybody else now. If we get the right players in that are at a good enough level, then they should be able to go straight into that team and play the system. Well, why does that change? Because we haven't gone to your agendas and got the players in early. Well, if that's true, then we should be able to sign them any point this week or into early next week, and then they should still be able to come in and fit into the team. If
we're not going to fill all the holes, are we? But to me,
No.
when I say I want 3 players, right? Obviously we need a number 9, and it means keeping Richarlison. We need a right winger, in my opinion, and another midfielder, right? Hopefully it's Eze, right? Hopefully it's dreamland, right? Those 3. We can get away with the left backs, not just who've got you, Doggy. You got Davies at back up, but now Spencer's shown he can play on the left as well as on the right. So we've got cover there. You've even got Archie Gray that can drop into right back as well. He played 30 games for Leeds last season. We don't need a central defender. You've got Ashley Phillips, you've got Dorrington coming back from injury. And I mean, like towards the end, after January, I think maybe it might be the end of the season, we get Vuskovic, and he scored a nice goal the other day. He's a lump and all for a 16, 17-year-old. Christ, he's a lump.
I wouldn't buy him. That's for sure.
I think. I mean, what positions do you think we need, Mark? I mean,
what positions do we need, or what positions are we going to get?
All right, what positions do you think we'll get, Colin? Then.
Well, I think that we're going to get a striker and then another attacking player, probably a winger / striker, and I think Richarlison's going to go.
Okay, Mark?
Controversial take.
Yeah, well, if it's true what Colin said, we need 2 strikers then, because one's not good enough. Because you got to remember as well, last year we played 41 games. We played 2 in the FA Cup and 1 in the League Cup, and 38 league games. This year we're going to have a minimum of 50? Yeah.
48. Two domestic cups, 8 Europa League, and 38 games.
Yeah.
48 minimum if we don't progress, right?
Yeah. And so we're going to progress in the. Well, if we don't progress in the Europa League, then we just will give up.
Mm-hmm.
But so you can say we're going to play somewhere between 50 and 55 games, probably
60. Hopefully never 60.
Well, yeah, hopefully.
The more we play, the better.
Yeah. And so we need depth in the team. And so if Richie leaves, like Colin alluded to, we want 2 strikers.
That's why I think we'll get a striker and then like a winger hybrid, kind of like a Jonathan David type of player.
Yeah, because what definitely we need a number 9. I'd like to see a good, solid number 6 come in. Because, exactly.
It's not going to happen because Hans doesn't want that. That's why you play.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the fan base would. But Hans has already alluded he does not play a number 6.
Well, it's either that then, or we're just going to get overrun in midfield and we're just going to get swamped again.
Well, no, because I think if you look at the players, and I know we're talking youngsters and that, but Bergvall and Gray can both play that kind of more defensive as well as attacking. So can, hopefully, if he gets on form, so can Bissouma. Perhaps Sarr can. Benson certainly can. So you kind of look at it and say, well, we've got players that can stay back as well as go forward. We've just got rid of the best one that we probably had, which was Højbjerg, and I know nobody likes him neither.
I did.
I think he was a fantastic player for us. Now, the thing you've got to look at is we haven't replaced some of these players that are going out yet, really.
No.
But not enough. I mean, if you look at it, basically we've signed 2 players to come into the squad because the third one obviously doesn't come till January. So
that's why I was saying a couple of shows ago. I believe now, with all the outgoings we've had, in the minimal incomings, I believe we're weaker than last year.
I don't believe that though. I don't know.
Just because of the bodies we've got.
Well, I think you got to count Jed Spence's back, so that's that's another player. I don't think so. We've lost what? Højbjerg. Who else have we lost? I'm blanking.
I mean, you've lost Sessegnon.
Yeah, well, he was never
Hill.
fit anyway. So
no, Sessegnon, Hill, Pierre,
yeah,
Royal probably.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about that, though, we're losing players that never really got game time, or
Barrett
again,
and
it was only
Emerson
due to.
but they were there as an option. They were there as
Yeah,
an
but
option.
you've lost two definite people. Well, three definites from the bench in the sense of Hill, Højbjerg, and
Emerson. Well,
and
Emerson
Emerson.
started a lot, but yeah.
So you've lost three there. Where you've lost Emerson, who played right back and left back and centre back. You know, so you've
Do you
got
know what
to
I would like? Do you know what I would like more than anything in the team? No, none of our midfielders do this. It's someone who's going to go into that midfield and actually boss the game, like other players, like other teams.
Like a Dembele would.
Yes, we have no one in our team. They're all good midfielders, but they're all very similar. You have no one that will stick his foot on the ball and boss the midfield. This is why we keep getting overrunning. Plus our suicidal tactics of like rush goalkeepers and all sorts. Like,
so wait, you're not an Ange fan, are you?
No, I am an Ange fan. I love the way he plays. But
okay, good.
But in my opinion,
I don't
it needs tweaking. It needs tweaking.
I don't think it's
you haven't got to you haven't got to invert both fullbacks all the time, because all this rush keeper nonsense when like our whole team's in their penalty area. You know, it's just a suicide. I mean, did you notice in the Bayern game the other day? No, I was in the back room watching it, Colin, that you provided. Thank you very much.
You bet, buddy. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Bayern hit us on the break. Do you know the person who tackled the man? Kulu. Where the hell was our centre backs? Where the hell was I saying? It's suicide football. Honestly, it's suicide. It's like rush goalkeepers you used to play when you were a kid.
And said after that game, though, now it might be, you can take it as an excuse, or you can take it as he's being genuine. When he said after the game, all these double sessions in 35 degrees heat have caught up with the players and their legs, but don't worry because they'll benefit from it, even if he lost to Bayern, when the new season starts. So you either believe that or you don't. You know what I mean? So, but having said that, what I noticed in all the pre-season games was when we brought the youngsters on in the second half, we showed more energy than we did in the first half. So like, I want some of these youngsters to be, I mean, I know they'll go on the B list if Ange wants them as part of the squad, but I want the likes of Donnelly, Mikey Moore and Divine to be given game time next year. And I think the best chance to blood them will be in the Europa League, especially if we win 3 or 4 of the first games and we've got some dead rubbers and things like that. If not, if they're that sharp in training, play them. We've always said if they're good enough, play them, you know.
Adrian, I think what we seem to forget is go back 2 years to when Conte was here and we was watching those training sessions where Sonny and everybody was spewing up on the sidelines. What happened? They came back and the team was knackered. The team was absolutely knackered, and they never showed the levels of fitness that Conte was promising us. And that does worry me again under Ange now, where we've had these training sessions in that heat, and you could see the players look jaded. Is it such a good thing? I mean, I think me, you, and Mark was talking about it on one of the first shows we did, where we were saying go back to the old days where you go and you play your second and third division teams in this country, and I get the going abroad, and I get the big tours to Asia and Australia, but
no, it's all money.
It can be just too much. I think it is about money, Mark, but I also think it is trying to show our fans over there a little bit of a glimpse. But you shouldn't be doing Australia and Korea and Asia in the same tour.
No, that was
one or the other.
That was a shambles last season.
Yeah,
and yet after last season, we come out, we win 8 games and draw 2. I mean, it's mad, wasn't it? You could only have the Spurs.
You're looking at this season where we've had that. I mean, we were almost playing every other day at one point, and you think, get the fitness in the legs, and I agree with that. But to me, I just think sometimes you can be too much. But jumping back to the signings, I think we definitely need like you two have sort of said, and you know, we want to be looking at 3 players now. Whether it's 3 more established names or 2 established and another left field youngster or something like that. I mean, I think they're on about, is it, who's that, Richardson or whatever, the youngster that they're looking at.
I haven't heard about this fella.
Yeah, he's playing in the Olympics now, and I can't think it's.
Do you know what country?
No, I can't remember. I'm sure because when I first saw it, I thought it was Richarlison, but it's not Richarlison. It's something like Richardson or something like that. Then you look at it and think we could be another youngster coming in plus 2. I mean, look, if we got to the end of the transfer window, we'd signed, say, Solanke, Neto, and Chiesa. Would you be happy?
We're not getting Chiesa.
I know, but I'm just saying 3 names that we all know.
Yeah, I know. I would Solanke, Neto, Eze, please. And what I really wanted 4, I wanted a left back. And these 2 that Richard Davis brings up, they're young, but Bradley Locko, Dolgo I've watched as well. They look decent, but as Spence can play on left or right, it's different if we were getting 4. And if we're only getting 3 in, I want a striker, a right winger, and Eze, basically. We don't know what's happening. We may. I think we're going to be surprised. I mean, we will get. Look, we know whoever we bring in, half the fan base is going to be out on these players. But then let's look at them. I mean, I'll back the manager on the players. Now, this is a test of how good Johan Lange is, isn't it? You know, he's our director of football. We all criticise our previous directors of football. So, because I don't know if Johan Lange was responsible for getting, well, we know he was responsible for getting Bergwijn in because he's from his neck of the woods. And we know he's responsible for getting Archie Gray in, right? Yeah. So it's not a bad start. I mean, they do look excellent players, but we're treading water with them. You know, Bergwijn looks class. You know,
hey, fellas, I apologize. I'm unexpectedly having to go.
Fair enough.
But
well,
I just want to say,
thank you for coming, giving you some time. We'll get you back, yeah?
Oh, and definitely. Every Tuesday, I'm available. I usually won't have to run like this.
Well, stick your channel up, Adrian. Stick your channel
up. No, hey,
yeah.
just get it up at some point. No worries. It doesn't have to be right now. But yeah, everybody working on, getting some more content now that some things are happening.
Colin's channel there, guys. Subscribe to his channel.
Please do. Please do. And thank you, Alan, for the memberships. Alan gave out 5 memberships. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thank Alan for giving out those 5 memberships to Colin's channel.
Just to let you all know, for a Yankees, not bad.
Yeah, he's not bad.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for your input. And because it's been a very mature. This is what we're about. This channel, we're a mature and sensible fucking channel, right?
I like it.
Discerning Spurs group. We'll discuss things. If we don't rant and rave and it doesn't suit people, well then go elsewhere, guys.
Go do one. Kick rocks.
No, I'm not
in the United States.
You know,
go kick rocks.
No one forces you to listen and watch if you don't like our format, right? And it's much the same for every show, right? The way we do things.
Absolutely. And again, thank you everybody for allowing me on, and hope you gentlemen have a wonderful rest of your day.
Good to have you on. Good to have you on.
Look after you, son.
Later, fellas. Hey, Soren, see you, buddy.
We're left with the 3 musketeers, right? Paul Porthos of D'Artagnan. No, and I'm
gonna say, where's Ellie gone?
She said in the private. Well, I'm not saying.
She had to go.
I was gonna say that's why I did. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a long bloody way.
Some good news before we get to a light-hearted section. Yeah. This Sunday, Mikey Moore's 17. And he signs a 3-year professional contract, which is the maximum you can sign under FIFA rules. For those of you in the chat listening, and apparently there were clubs coming in for him because you can get your players nicked. There's always a window of opportunity and we've done it. We've thieved players off other academies, right, and tempted them. And there was lots of clubs wanted Mikey Moore, Man City, Dortmund, but all of them. And now we're paying him the wages, so we're keeping him. There is rumours
that he's going into the first squad as well, first team squad.
He will be, won't he? He will.
No, I'm sure I've read it today somewhere that something's been said about that they're looking to put him into the first team now as well.
Yeah, can't he be on the B list anyway?
Yes, he can because he's
not, and so he's not got to be registered in
he hasn't. So if you brought him in, Donnelly in, Lancashire in, right? all on the B list. They wouldn't have to be registered in the 25-man squad.
Yeah.
You could add them if we were short of homegrown.
Yeah.
You could add them as one of the 8 homegrown or one of the 4 homegrown academy trained. It gets a bit long-winded, doesn't it? But you could do that, right? But then you wouldn't be able to put them back down on a B list again. Once you've elevated them, they got to stay there, right? Because that'd be like bending the rules.
Pretty complicated,
and we don't want to do what Man City and Chelsea do we? You know what I mean? No. So, yeah. So the other, John, watched this kid, looked good, had expectations for him. He has now left us from the academy. He was 21 in March. He's gone transfer to Liga Portugal, 2-side CD Firenze. I wish him well. I had hopes for him. He got a loan out to Charlton, but again, he was like Scarlett. He wasn't used. Go on, Mark. You were going to say something?
No, has he left because he felt the path was blocked, or he just left because Tottenham wanted him to leave? Do you know this?
Actually, Andy Scolded now his job. He's in charge of academy recruitment and pathways, right? So, obviously, with Ange, they've looked at these young kids that have been given time, and you wouldn't be giving them time on tour, right? They've had a good look at them, haven't they, right?
Yeah.
So, it won't be because his pathway's blocked. They just think we've got better.
He's not good enough.
And they're the ones that are 21 now. Noel John's 21.
Yeah.
So he should really be making noises. All right, unfortunate. The year before last, the under-21s were crap. Last year, like Wayne Burnett did a brilliant job of them for win the 2 trophies, the Playoff Cup and their league, right? So, rumours today, don't know how true it is. Elogi Velez is going to go on loan to Southampton.
Right? It's not true.
Right, okay, fair enough if it isn't true.
Again, it could be somebody coming out to say that, but I can't remember who it was, but somebody has come out and said it's not true.
Okay, well, maybe they've inquired. The only thing that would be telling about that, if that means that the 2 young ones you've got, Scarlett, who's 20, and Lancashire, who got 23 goals in 22 games for the under-21s. I mean, and they say he's so simple. I mean, he is similar in style to Harry Kane, right? But like, does it mean that Lancashire will be getting the nod and being part of the B list again because he's young?
I think he will.
I mean, he was at Arsenal originally. He went to Sheffield United, and we give 2 or 3 million for him at Sheffield United when he was 17. So we must have rated him. Why he left Arsenal, I don't know. I don't care, to be honest with you. Right? I mentioned Arsenal, didn't I? So,
Yeah, I was going to say, come on.
No, Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go. Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Arsenal get battered everywhere they go.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was going to say, play by the rules.
Yeah, play by the rules, right? Okay.
Does it?
So, all right, that's just a rumor. Now we don't know. The other striker links guys was Tony, even Openda, Gyökeres, who's got mental stats. Jimenez didn't score many more goals than Parrott last year. Jonathan David. Then you got wingers Neto and Chiesa, although Chiesa looks out of the box. Eze, I think the stumbling block would be how much money Palace would want paid up front. And also midfielders been linked with Tominay and Ramsey, and right back Vanderson. So any comments on them, you guys? Or
you've missed one departure there, which I think is quite a big one. The guy from the medical staff.
Oh yeah, he got sacked. The science team guy, like he's gone. He's been in the club 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Good at getting our guys fit.
Exactly. Right, hopefully, maybe our thingy sick list won't be quite as big now.
I mean, David got 26 goals in 47 matches, not bad. Openda got 28 goals in 45 matches. He's younger and quick, right? Mind you, David's quick as well. But like the one that Brian Daigle likes, Victor Gyökeres, I mean, like he scored 43 goals in 50 matches, and that was
he's got crazy stats.
He's got crazy stats. His season at Coventry wasn't that good, and he's 26 now. And you always think, like, why is it taking so long? Is it that league that he's in?
Well, this is it. I mean, everybody's sort of moaning about Solanke being a one-season wonder, and then you look at him and you think, well, yeah, he's got fantastic stats out there, but he's not done it much before. But it wouldn't surprise me if Jonathan David still comes as well as Solanke.
Yeah, could well happen. I mean, like,
Because, I mean, he's just turned Roma down, hasn't he?
And when you look at Lewis Openda at Leipzig, right, and we're after Solanke, this is where some of their fans will do a comparison, you know, compare.com. Lewis Openda's release clause is 68 million.
Yeah.
But he is young. And Solanke's, you know, I mean, I think we might be willing to cough up 45, 50 and win it and pay the rest in add-ons, which where Spurs will go. I get that, right? But Giroukis' release clause is 86 million. But Sporting are willing to drop that, apparently, which means they want to sell him because they want to make some money, right? So that's what that says, you know. So other than that, we're done, apart from going through the little bit of fun on the... Give me a fun. Let me turn my page on my run sheet over. Right. We know you two become Spurs fans, right? So, right. Name a favourite player, Mark. Come on.
Oh my God. Well, I've done Hoddle and Mabba already. Let's go for one a bit more recent then. I got to think of someone now. Gareth Bell.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Choose a particular Spurs victory.
Particular Spurs victory. Well, all of them. Was it around New Year's Eve when we absolutely battered Chelsea at White Hart Lane? It was around New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Was it
4-1 or 5-1?
5-3.
5-3.
Yeah.
It was either 4-1 or 5. It was one of the cups, wasn't it?
Yeah,
We beat them
4-1 or 5-1.
5-1 in a League Cup.
Yeah.
That one, yeah?
Yeah, it was around the New Year, and we absolutely battered them.
Fine. Select a special Spurs goal.
Oh. My God. All right, Gareth Bell's at home against Inter Milan, the taxi from Icon one.
Oh, right, yeah.
But he never scored, did he? It was Pavlyuchenko or something that knocked it in, but it was his run that set it up.
Yeah. Okay. Soren, name a favourite Spurs player.
I was going to say Gareth Bale, same as Mark.
Oh.
For the simple reason, I remember watching Bale, and I think it was at Man City. And everybody around me in the stand, when I was the same, was like, "Oh no, Bale's playing. We're gonna." It was when we were on the losing streak, and every time Gareth Bale played, and we won. So that's why I was going to say Gareth Bale. So a favourite player. So I had Clive Allen last time, didn't I? You know what? I'm going to go back, and I'm going to be sentimental now, and I'm going to say Ricky Villa.
Okay. Choose a particular Spurs victory.
So the FA Cup final when Ricky Villa scored that goal, because that was just one of those games where it was just magical, wasn't it? And I was a kid watching that goal. Made us all want to be Ricky Villa, and you know, them two players at that time being Argentinian and coming over and playing for Tottenham was a big thing. That was
a wow moment.
Yeah,
that was a wow moment.
But it wasn't just that, you know. It was we had two Argentinian players when it was kind of unthought of back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, because you got to remember when we signed them in '78, the summer before that, like Aussie was in the Argentina first team that won the World Cup. I remember seeing them. Well, I remember seeing Aussie in the '78 World Cup, and then about a month later, they're on the front of the bloody newspaper, like with Keith Birkinshaw, and I was like, "Hey, you know," and this is before like the big foreign like influence, you know, because most of the team were like either English, Scottish, Welsh, were Irish. You know, there was very few like foreign imports into the first division back then.
Well, that's it. And I mean, you know, watching that goal.
Yeah.
Anybody that watched the last show that was on when you asked when I started supporting Spurs, that was obviously, you know, the beginning of my Spurs journey. So, you know, I suppose I've got to go that way.
Yeah.
If I'm picking name of favourite player, Modric.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Choose a particular Spurs victory. The 1967 2-1 FA Cup final against Chelsea when Robertson and Frank Saul scored.
Were you there? Were you there?
I was 12. No, I wasn't.
Select a citizen back there.
Yeah. Select a special Spurs goal. My God, so many. I'm going to pick. I could pick the odd goal against Watford away when he dragged it and chipped the keeper.
Was that in the FA Cup? Was that a league game?
I think that was a league game. I think we went through. I think I'll pick that. That was a class goal. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, it's been a very good stream. I want to thank all our guests for coming on. I think especially for what could have been a very, which was like, you know, a contentious debate on things. But like, I want to thank everyone for being mature and sensible in their answers, because that's what we're about on this in this channel. We do have shows on Fridays and Sundays as well at 8 o'clock as well as Tuesdays, regularly on Tuesdays. I want to thank Colin, Phil Barnett, Ellie, and Haz for coming on for a short period of time. If you like the shows, please give them the thumbs up, and please leave a comment because that helps the algorithm for us as well. And once again, all I can do is thank you all, and I'll see you guys in the back room, and I'll play you out with this.
Don't